Bismillah, it's Mr. Islah. You are listening to the Director's Cut podcast on the CS Network, where we talk all things ethnic within the entertainment industry. I was lucky enough to be invited by Media Hive to the exclusive UK media Q&A ahead of the Oscars with the one and only Riz Ahmed. There was a handful of us at the Q&A, but what I've done is cut together the questions that I was able to ask him for this episode, and he talks all about representation, breaking through into the industry, and his Oscar nominee. So, without further ado, let's get into it. This is my director's cut. Assalamu alaikum, Riz, and Ramadan Mubarak, of course. Bro, my question for you as an actor and a writer myself, the role of Ruben wasn't a typical role for a South Asian Muslim actor. How do more actors avoid getting typecasted roles? Do we have to write our own stuff, or do we have to wait for a role to magically land in our laps, or do we have to get an agent that's going to be on our side? Because you've broken through to the mainstream, and I'm watching all your stuff and watching your career with great inspiration, and props to you for everything you've achieved, mashallah. And just wanted to kind of know that.
Well, I think the answer to your own questions. Progress doesn't come by waiting around for it. I think we have to step up and take it. And honestly, the progress that I make is built on the backs of people before me. People like Art Malik or Sanjeev Bhaskar or Mira Sayal or Tamasha Theatre Company. People in the East End, Irfan Khan, who's tragically lost this year. So I think actually the progress is something that comes from a team effort over a longer period of time. But on an individual level, if you're moved to tell a story, or if you have a story to tell, you have to step up and tell it. And you know what, you're telling it not just to yourself, to give yourself that opportunity and create that material for yourself as an actor, but it's also because those stories need to be told. You're doing it for the story itself. And there are so many stories in our communities that have not been told yet in the mainstream. And something that I'm really excited to try and do more of is that. And that's something that was exciting for me in Mowgli, and just to go to new places. And that was exciting about Sound of Metal, telling stories about the deaf community. So I think absolutely there are untold stories that it's like we're sitting on gold,
You mentioned earlier, you said not to wait around for an opportunity, it's not going to land in your lap sort of thing. But what do you do when the industry doesn't give you a chance? You pitch an idea that pushes representation, but you're not given a platform to do it as a writer.
Yeah. I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Because it has to come from both sides. On the one side is people in positions of influence need to make space, and people like me need to kind of, argue for that space to be made. And then there's people who are starting out that need to try and just be as amazing as possible at what they're doing. And that can be difficult because sometimes you have to be given that first chance in order to get better and have a second chance and a third chance. So that is the responsibility of those decision makers, those gatekeepers. But the responsibility of those who want to break into the industry is, unfortunately, to be, they have to work. You have to often work twice as hard to get half as far. So you have to be undeniable. Throwing something together and putting it out there in the world isn't going to cut it. And it's unfair when sometimes that might be enough for someone with a different background or a different level of connections, That's the reality of life, that it can sometimes be unfair. So now, what do you do about it? You have to be better. You have to have those extra muscles. You have to be willing to work harder, So I think, sometimes the only thing you can focus on is what is in your control. And the reality is, if there's an undeniable script, then you've done your job, as a writer. And then it is the job of other people to also kind of do their thing and make space for that.
You're the first South Asian Muslim that's been nominated for an Oscar. What's it taken for you to get to this point? How much work have you put in to be in this position you are in now?
I mean, like I said, I think it takes a lot of hard work, frankly. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of knockbacks. It takes a lot of late nights and early mornings. It takes a lot of overcoming self-doubt and the doubt of others. Takes a lot of perseverance, but more than anything, I could say it takes people before you to pave the way. You know, I would kind of parachute down from space and time, and suddenly I find myself in this, very lucky position. There are generations of people before me who have paved the way for someone like me to find themselves in this very lucky position. So I think it's really important that we think about individual effort, but we also think about how people who've gone before have paid it forwards, and that should remind us to continue to do the same.
Do you think your Oscar nomination is changing the attitude of the industry towards representation?
I think if it makes a contribution down that road of broadening people's horizons and opening up opportunities, then I'm glad. I'm just aware that the success of individuals doesn't necessarily result to the whole system being changed. And I think as well as celebrating these individual successes, we have to keep an eye on the bigger picture, understanding there's still work to be done. So hopefully it's not an opportunity for everyone to put their feet up and say, yeah, mission accomplished. This encouragement to say, yeah, okay, cool. We can continue to move forwards.
Thank you for listening, guys. And if you do want to check out more, you can jump onto the csnetwork.co.uk, where you can read my review on his new movie Sound of Metal. I highly recommend you check that out. It's a sick film. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. Big up to Media Have for hooking this up, and a big shout out to Riz Ahmed for being so inspiring. And I really hope you guys feel as inspired and motivated as I do. And on that note, that's a wrap.